Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named KR17 in the relationship advice subreddit. The post is titled, "I think I just found out I have a son. How do I approach his mother? So my world has been turned upside down over the last 24 hours. I've got 2 kids, or so I thought. My oldest has an assignment for school to write a report on an interesting relative. My family is boring, but I did recall having a great-great-great-grand uncle who was a member of Congress. So I thought we'd start there. I logged into Ancestry and had a notification. You and X share DNA. I thought it was probably a distant cousin or something. I clicked on it and it said the predicted relationship was parent/child. I called my mom to make sure her account hadn't been hacked since I knew she had done a DNA test. She said she used 23andMe for her testing, so I looked up this woman on Facebook. I came to the realization that this was someone I had hooked up with in college. She appears to be married and has a husband, an older kid, and 2 younger kids. They look like the typical suburban family. The older kid looks as awkward as I did as a teenager, a spitting image. I'm guessing she did a DNA test for him using her name. I have a flood of emotions right now. Anger is the first. If my math is right, he's around 18 and I've missed out on basically his entire childhood. I was absolutely in no place to raise a kid at that time in my life, and I probably wouldn't have been able to go to medical school. At the same time, I never got the choice to know, and that's what upsets me more. I know my family would have helped me out. I haven't told anyone this, not even my spouse. I'm wrestling with guilt. I really want to reach out. I don't want to throw turmoil into a family, but I also feel like I shouldn't have to miss out on more of his life. He has an Instagram account, but it's private, and reaching out straight to him would be overwhelming, not to mention creepy. Where do I start? Do I call Ancestry, reach out to her directly? Do I get a lawyer? I don't even know how that works because I live abroad now. Thanks in advance. Update. The day after my original post, I told my spouse and my parents. Both were supportive of however I wanted to go about this. I went ahead and decided to contact my son's mother. I didn't want to give her the excuse that I was anything but proactive. When I went to send a message directly on Ancestry, I could no longer find the match. She had blocked me. My sister, who also used Ancestry but hadn't opened the app in ages, could still see the relationship from her account. I decided to have my sister contact her, thinking it may be easier anyway, coming from a woman and someone slightly less emotionally involved. My sister was blocked immediately with no response. We both tried reaching out on Facebook, blocked and blocked. My mom tried reaching out, blocked. So I wrote a brief message to my son and sent it to his Instagram. Without going into specifics, I simply told him that I think we share a connection, that I knew his mother when we were in college in 2006 and left the door open from there. Basically, I was telling him I was likely his father without blatantly saying it. Let him put the pieces together in a way that made sense for him. Within a few hours, I received a message back. He knew exactly what I meant. He said that his mom told him his biological father was her high school sweetheart and was killed by a drunk driver while she was pregnant. He didn't know his mom had gone to college. He told me he had started questioning the story because she didn't know any of his relatives and only had one picture of his dad and had no pictures of her with this guy. He described this as a big question mark in my life and said he had been wanting answers for a while. He did provide the DNA for the Ancestry test. His mom told him it was to help her locate the father's family so they could come to his graduation party. Still, he said that he wanted to be 100% sure that I was who I said I was. So on the 6th, I drove down 5 hours to meet him at a Starbucks. I brought a paternity test. We did the samples and put it in the mail. The results came back yesterday as a match. I knew from the moment I saw him that he's my kid. A parent knows. In the photos I saw of him, he looked like me as a teenager, but when I saw him in person, I could see the resemblance to my dad as a young man. His voice even sounded like mine. It was tough holding myself together. It was the same flood of emotion I had when I saw my kids for the first time when they were born. A unique cocktail of emotions most parents know. Except now it's happening in a Starbucks, and the kid is a teenager who's 6'1". As for his mother's husband, my son told me he's never had a close relationship with him, especially after his twin brothers were born. His mom is good to him and clearly did well raising him. He said he's always looked to his grandpa as his father figure, as he lived with his mom and her parents for the first several years of his life. He doesn't know what he wants to do with his life yet, but he's an honors student on the swim team and is hoping to get a scholarship for swimming. He has a girlfriend and is going to prom this spring. I'm so incredibly proud of how maturely he's handled all of this. We're keeping in contact on Instagram and we agreed to meet this summer so he can meet the rest of the family, particularly my parents. He's especially excited to meet my 2-year-old daughter. He says he always wanted a little sister. I also encouraged him to go easy on his mom when the time comes to tell her because we were both so young when all this happened, and I'm sure she did the best she could do at the time, as misguided as it may have been. Sometimes adults tell lies to make things easier for kids to accept, and we can suddenly find ourselves caught up in those lies. It doesn't mean she wanted to lie to him, so all in all, it's a mixed ending. Would I have liked for his mom to have complied? Yes. It would have made things a hell of a lot easier, but I won't hold a grudge against his mom because my #1 priority is my son's well-being, and he doesn't need chaos. I hope that when she's finally told, she can come to terms with it, because they both deserve peace, and he shouldn't have an unspoken rift between his parents. I think she will. She doesn't have much of a choice at this point. I hope now she understands that now that he's grown, I'm not trying to take him away from her. In some ways, it's a blessing that I didn't find out until now, because had I found out sooner, lawyers and judges would have been involved, and I don't think that would have been good for him. At least that's what I tell myself when I get upset, and I'm glad both of us have gotten some closure here, particularly him, as he's been dealing with this a lot longer than I have. User Alpha Loda said, I think there is no way this is close to being concluded. To this user, Big Weld comment said, of course not. The relationship is just starting. All the real drama has yet to happen. User Trin42 said, this happened to my cousin. He was in the army, and sometime after he returned from deployment, his wife announced she was pregnant and it was someone else's child. They divorced. He left her in Alaska, relocated, remarried, and went on to have 2 more children. Then one day, he received a message from a kid who matched on Ancestry with another cousin of ours, and they provided his email. They did a DNA test, and it turned out that he is my cousin's child. He is now 18 and free to have a relationship with my cousin, much to his mother's chagrin. I won't lie, it makes me happy. User J Tenka said 18 years, and his mom has learned absolutely nothing during that time. It's quite selfish of her to attempt to block the communication. She has no right to do so if her son is a legal adult, just covering her own backside for her own lies. I'm glad they've made contact though. Hopefully, they get to build a healthy relationship. This next story was made in the AITA subreddit by a user named Susie Woozy. The post is titled AITA for wearing the same makeup and clothes around a friend who thinks her husband has a crush on me. My friend has told me that her husband has a crush on me and has recently told her that he fantasizes about me. This already makes me feel very awkward, but now she has asked if I can stop wearing makeup and wear baggy clothes around him. We went out for dinner last night at a reasonably expensive restaurant with a few others, and she texted me when I got home saying she was angry at me for looking hot after she asked me to not wear makeup. She's my friend and I want to do the right thing, but there's nothing I could wear that is baggy that would have suited the restaurant we were in. My style is very conservative and I was wearing a very average dress with heels. I've written out several responses ranging from an apology to being quite rude, but I wanted to sense check my thoughts here before I go back to her. I don't want to make life difficult for her, but what she's asking for feels unreasonable. Am I the asshole in this situation? Update. Thank you so much for all of your responses. It's 4:21 a.m. here in the UK, so I will write out and send a response tomorrow and will update you all here. Sorry I couldn't respond to everyone. I didn't expect so many responses. Edit 2. While I was reading your responses, he just liked an old Instagram picture from way back. He is now blocked. Final update. I responded with the following. Sorry it's taken me a while to reply, but I wanted to consider this properly and not react emotionally. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I don't think it's fair or reasonable to ask me to change how I look because of your husband. My advice is to speak to husband and work on your relationship, because projecting your issues onto me isn't going to help you, but it will damage our friendship. You have nothing to be insecure about. You're the most beautiful person inside and out I've ever met. I'm here for you if you want to talk through it, but ultimately I can't help it if I'm attractive. 5 minutes after I pressed send, she knocked on my door with a bunch of flowers, cried, and gave me a hug while apologizing. She told me they were having problems and it was wrong of her to take it out on me. We've had a long chat and I'm going to be there to support my friend. Thank you all for your input. You all helped so much. User Aquatic Stoner said, I'm glad they made up, but that's definitely not the end of it. The tension from his confession is not going to properly ease. She may understand that she shouldn't have taken it out on her friend, but it's not going to ever really be the same since he did this. How massively selfish of him, and gross. I'm amazed that OP could still go to dinners with them together after that. User Alaska Stiletto said, "Why is it always on the woman to change and look less attractive when a man has an inappropriate attraction?" User Throw It All Away said, "I had a friend do that to me once and it broke our friendship. She told me that her boyfriend was driving down my road with his dad while I was outside washing my car in a bikini and cheer shorts, and he told her that my butt was nicer than hers. She somehow blamed me. I was in my own driveway and didn't even know he was around, but yeah, she thought it was totally my fault." This final post was made in the same subreddit by a user named Crayon Liquor. The post is titled AITAH for being brutally honest to my wife about cheating. So this happened over the past weekend. We were at a party with friends and this question popped up. We essentially had a small never have I ever game, which seems pretty childish looking back, but we're all in our late 20s, so it isn't that bad. One of the questions was, never have I ever forgiven a partner for cheating. A few people counted that as something they had done, including my wife. I expressed my surprise about it since I wouldn't expect her, of all people, to give someone a chance after cheating. Other than that, the night went on just fine and I was driving us home. I asked her about the whole situation with forgiving a partner for cheating. In her words, her ex-boyfriend from many years back cheated on her. He came clean about it and they tried again, but then he went and did it again in the same manner. She said she didn't regret giving him a second chance and would do the same if I happened to cheat. I figured this was just her being drunk, and I have no intention of cheating on her. In the absence of any answer from me, she asked if I would do the same for her. I bluntly told her that I wouldn't be able to forgive cheating, nor would I ever expect to be forgiven for cheating if I somehow ended up doing it. Short of physical abuse or other heinous acts, it's the worst thing you can do to someone you love. I don't know what happened to her after that, but she stopped talking for the rest of the car ride. Ever since then, she's been dead silent around me. She isn't her usual bubbly self and is withdrawn when I have conversations with her. She avoids any questions about what happened on Saturday night too. I asked our mutual friends about any context I may have missed, and a few of them said that she must have taken it a bit too hard. As in, my not being able to forgive her for hypothetical cheating means I don't love her as much as she loves me. Her two oldest friends kind of implied that I shouldn't have been so blunt about it. User Cool Relative said, "Not the asshole. She's conflating your personal boundaries with your love for her. However, personal boundaries and deal breakers are about self-love, not love for another. Not everyone has the same boundaries, and that is always more about the person themselves than about other people." User 2NPIAC said, "Not the asshole. This is stupid on her part. Did she cheat and is sad that you wouldn't be willing to forgive her? Does she have the urge to cheat or plan on doing it and hope that you'd give her another chance? Either way, it doesn't look good. Just because she can forgive a cheater doesn't mean you can or should." User Run Zombie Babe said, "I think that in her mind, this means you love her less than she loves you. I don't think the same way. For me, cheating was always a breaking point. But some people have the mindset that if you really love someone, they could do anything to you and you have to try to give them another chance. I don't see it as a sign that she wants to cheat on you or has done it. Not the asshole. I would talk to her about how loving someone doesn't mean there are no boundaries." Update. I'd have to say that about 90% of the comments immediately went to her being a cheat or planning on cheating with some handsome doctor. That isn't what's happening here. I pressed the issue when I got home last night and she finally opened up. She said she felt like I thought less of her for choosing to give her ex another chance, and felt hurt to hear me speak about ending our marriage so frankly. Obviously, I didn't mean to hurt her with what I thought would be a meaningless hypothetical. I explained that I valued our relationship too much to cheat on her, which is what I meant by my answer. We had a much longer chat about why she felt so down, and I think we got to the crux of the matter. She confessed to still having fears of me having an affair like he did and losing the relationship. In short, she feels like she hasn't actually processed the cheating from her old relationship. Her ex was her first relationship, so having him cheat on her clearly messed up her self-confidence. She was anxious during the first year or so of our relationship because of some female friends I had and who are still in my life. She came clean about checking my phone for any secret chats or apps during our entire relationship. So when I said that I wouldn't tolerate having an affair, she just felt guilty about being so worried all the time, I think she would benefit from some form of counseling to help get over this, which she agrees with, so now we're planning on getting individual therapy for her and possibly something for the both of us. At the same time, I'm reassuring her that this isn't a marriage-ending issue and that I'm not angry at her. Needless to say, things are still off at home, but much better now that this is all out in the open. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.